have imaginary number problems in the test, there's a couple of things you want to keep in mind. First is, if it's a fraction form, the SAT is probably looking for you to rewrite it in A plus BI format. Don't think too much about that, but just understand that the SAT, if it's an imaginary number problem and it's in a fraction form, they're looking for you to rewrite it in A plus BI form. Second, understand what a conjugate pair is. So if, let's say it's 2 plus I. The conjugate pair sounds fancy, but all it is, see how this is 2 plus I? The conjugate pair would be 2 minus I. If it was, let's say, 10 plus 2i, then the conjugate pair would be 10 minus 2i. So whatever the I is, that becomes opposite. So see how from here it went from plus 2i to negative 2i? So that's number 2, is understand what a conjugate pair is. And before I get to the third thing, let me bring the problem up now. So the problem is negative 8 plus 6i divided by 3 plus I. Remember, if it's in a fraction form, we want to put it in A plus BI format. So I'm going to rewrite that over here. And the way I do that is by multiplying the top and the bottom by the conjugate pair of the denominator. So here's my denominator, 3 plus I. From our lesson before, think about what the conjugate pair would be. The conjugate pair would be 3 minus I. So that's what I multiply the numerator and the denominator by. So multiply the numerator and the denominator by 3 minus I. And if you think about that for a second, 3 minus I divided by 3 minus I is just 1. So we're not actually changing the numerical value of this. All we're doing is just changing the format of this. So the top is going to get FOILed out, and excuse me, and the denominator is going to get FOILed out. So let's start with the top. First will be negative 8 times 3, so that'll be negative 24. Outer will be negative 8 times negative I. That'll be plus 8i. Inner will be 6i times 3, which will be plus 18i. And then lastly, you'll have 6i times negative 6i, which will be negative 6i squared. Now let's get to the denominator. So first will be 3 times 3, 9. Outer will be minus 3i. Inner will be positive 3i. And then last will be negative I squared. See how the negative 3i plus 3i cancel out? So that's gone. Let me take this out so you guys can see it. So negative 3i plus 3i cancel out. I'm going to erase it, okay? I'm going to erase it, and I'm just going to rewrite this whole denominator as 9 minus I squared. 9 minus I squared. And now this brings me, so while I write this brings me to my third and final thing that you want to keep in mind, is that I squared, the value of I squared is negative 1. See how the problem tells me that I equals square root of negative 1? So think about it. If I square this and I square this, what am I left with? I'm left with I squared equals negative 1. So memorize that. Memorize that I squared equals negative 1. So wherever I see I squared, I'm going to replace that with negative 1. So this right here, see how that was an I squared? I'm going to erase that and rewrite negative 1 there. And see how in the denominator I have I squared here? I'm going to erase that, and instead of the I squared, we're writing negative 1. So now let's combine the like terms as much as we can. Negative 6i times negative 1 becomes positive 6. So I'm going to write that as positive 6. The positive 8i plus positive 18i over here, that'll become 26i, right? Yep, 26i. So let's replace that with 26i. Now while I'm doing this, on a scale of 1 to 5, this is definitely a level 4. It's a tough problem. It's not an easy one. 26i. Now in my numerator, I can also combine the negative 24 plus 6, so that should become negative 18. Negative 18. And my denominator, see how this is a negative times negative 1? So that should actually become 10. Oh, sorry, not 10. That'll become positive 1 over here, and then it'll become 10. So that'll be plus 1. And we're writing this so you can have time to copy it down. Always make sure you have a notebook or something where you're writing things down simultaneously. So this is 9 plus 1. That'll obviously become 10. Almost there now. Now everything in the numerator, the negative 18 and the 26i, they both are getting divided by 10. So if I were to rewrite this would actually be negative 18 divided by 10 plus 26i divided by 10. Let's see if we can bring this down a little bit. So negative 18 and 10 will become negative 9 over 5. And the 26i divided by 10 actually becomes plus 13i over 5. And now I can rewrite this as negative 9 plus 13i divided by 5. Now I hope one of the answer choices match up to this. And it does. Answer choice D, negative 9 plus 13i divided by 5.